All right, we are live going to, we're on the road to Memphis again. We didn't really think we were going to have this show Tuesday. My schedule was all over the place, but we were able to have a show tonight, and we got a really cool guest, a really cool artist that I'm excited to talk to about his work and his airbrushing. Please welcome Lin Workman. Let me pull up the applause if I can get to it.
Yeah.
I got to get in practice. Me and B got a show tomorrow. There you go. Welcome, Lynn, man. That's some sick art you do. You guys can see in the background there, and you said that's all airbrushed, and that piece is huge.
Yeah, I did that. I did a solo show at a friend's studio here in Memphis. Actually, I'm down in Hernando, but it was in Memphis, and it was all just monster portraits of villainy, or my monster pieces, And so that was London After Midnight. Yeah, there you go. You can see it now. London After Midnight, and it was about 5 foot by 5 foot. I painted it. I was working at a tombstone company at the time. I was designing monuments and gravestones and stuff like that, and I had a big space in the back, and that was too big to paint at my house. So I asked the boss. I was like, "Do you mind if I paint this in the back after hours?" And he was like, "No." So yeah, that one was painted at a tombstone company.
They must have made some big tombstones, huh?
Oh yeah, yes. Oh, definitely, yeah. I had that one. I had a Bela Lugosi Dracula. It's about 4 foot by 4 foot, and most of my others were about 3 to 4 foot wide or tall. It was just easier to transport.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a little troubling to transport around unless you got a box truck or something.
Yeah, there was a art store over on the Highland Strip that was closing, and they were doing a big sale on all their canvases. And they had like this 10 foot by 10 foot canvas. And I was like, oh my God, that would be so great. And then I was like, all right, well, how am I going to get it home? And if I get it home, there's no way to get it in the house. I'd have to, so I had to pass on that one. But yeah, I love working big. I also like working small. I do a lot of sketch cards. Let's see, there we go.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, I do those kind of things. I did some for Tops.
Mars Attacks, man. I'm a big fan.
And some Manos. There you go. The
Very
old Manos,
cool.
the Hands of Fate. So yeah, I do that kind of stuff. I do sketch covers.
Comic books?
Yeah. Used to self-publish back in the early 2000s, and did that for a while. It was called Bushy Tales, and then also worked on a comic called Star Gods back in like the mid-late 90s. Yeah.
I know, like, I got questions about comics because I've been talking to my guy about doing a Doomsday's Crypt comic. But when you think about all the work that goes into it, is it something you like to do, but it's just takes up too much time and you'd rather be focusing on other things? Or if that makes any sense, where the comic industry right now, it's tough to really generate that funds that you need to make it worthwhile to do it, between printing and physical copies. I know a lot of work goes into it for very little.
It's a lot easier to do it and to fund them these days than it was when I was doing it. Kickstarter, when we started going, Kickstarter wasn't around yet. Kickstarter didn't come around until we were like getting ready just to say to heck with it. We had some problems with Diamond not sending out books that like they were supposed to. I had my partner Dave started working on some Marvel comics, some DC comics, some Image stuff. So that was paying his bills. This stuff really wasn't, so we kind of had to give it up. But he continued doing comics, like I said, for the big two and Image. And but yeah, like these days, like I said, between Kickstarter and just being able to go completely digital with your comics if you want to. We did some digital downloads. We did a soundtrack. We did some other stuff back then, but we were kind of ahead of the curve, unfortunately, because the digital printing, like print on demand, was just starting when we were going to print, and it wasn't the most reliable thing in the world, and it seemed to take quite a good turnaround on some of it. And then doing traditional printing, it was a big, chunk of change to have like 1,000, 2,000 or more comics printed at a time.
I know exactly where you're coming from. That's why I asked you. I know a few people that write some comics, and they're independent comic people, and the printing. I mean, a lot of comic readers too. They don't want to read it digitally. They want the physical in their hand. They won't even read if it's digital. And the physical copies now. I mean, the market's good, but the cost and value is a different story. You have to sell your comic for $15-20 to really make it feasible on a small scale run, which some people may or may not do. And I know it's a tough business, but if you have the right things, I guess it goes well if you have those connections. But I just know a few people that kind of gave up on the comic thing after a few issues and everything that went into it, and just to kind of
it's hard. That's where basically my 401k went. So it's again, it's
investing and believing in yourself, I guess.
Pretty much. I mean, if you're going to invest in something, you might as well invest in yourself. But there's a lot of things that I would do differently today if I was doing it. But you definitely got to have a business plan. And again, just not only you need to know how to draw, how to write, how to, collate your stuff, all that kind of stuff, paginate stuff. You need to know the business. You need to know the distribution. You need to, talk to folks like Jamie who are, owners of shops. We asked, some of the guys that were here. That's one thing I like about the Memphis area. We've got some great comic shops in town, and everybody was like super, like just open about, the business and what we needed to do. And we'd ask them, hey, do you want like freebie stuff to hand out to your customers, or would you rather have like an extra issue? Like if you buy 5, we'll give you 1 free. And they all said they'd like the incentive of, the buy 5, get 1 free, because that's another book that they can sell, And like I said, we started in the late 90s, mid-late 90s, and it was cool to be an indie comic guy back then. People were like, oh wow, you do your own comics, that's great. But we were we were right there at the end of the big comic explosion in the 90s, and the black and white with like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that was long ago by then. That was probably 10, 12 years prior. So we our timing wasn't great. And a lot of times with the guys that are still doing it, it's not only being good, it's just the right time, right place, right audience.
Timing's definitely key. I mean, I look at like The Walking Dead, that launched at the right time. There's other zombie things that may not have caught. And it happens a lot. It happens if you can just miss it. You can have the idea and somebody just puts it out before you, and the timing's just not there. It's a bummer, man. I've seen it happen quite a few times.
Yeah, because Marvel went bankrupt in the 90s at one point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, sometimes when those stories go good to, and people are invested in them and they see them go bad, it takes away from the other ones. And that's unfortunate too. I think that happened with zombies in The Walking Dead, where it was so great, but the more it went on, the more even the show kind of went on. And I know there's still a lot of fans out there. I'm a fan of the cast and what they did, but those first 4 or 5 seasons of zombies was pretty intense. And then I think people just got sick of zombies where the craze was there. And I know some people were putting out some really cool zombie stuff that just never caught on because people were zombie burned out.
Well, I didn't get burned out of that. I just started rooting for the zombies instead of the people. The characters. I was like,
But their heads just exploded by the touch. It's like, how would they even bite you? Their jaws would just fall off. You could just step on it. It looks like a smashed, rotten pumpkin. Yeah. But no, I mean, It was a great show. I think a lot of people really got into that craze. It was a hype. I've always been a big zombie fan since Romero and all that. So I've watched it grow. It was, the serious tone of The Walking Dead that was really cool. Even Dawn of the Dead remake had a more serious, darker tone, which changed zombies in a different way. World War Z, the same thing. So,
Fast
what
zombie.
is your favorite? Like, do you like a slow or fast zombie? Now that I'm thinking about it, that's a big debate for some people.
I like classic, slow zombies and stuff like that. But the thing I loved about World War Z was that it was something completely different. You're like, oh, holy
Right.
crap, they're coming at you, And I like the fact that they weren't attacking anybody that was sick. They could sense if somebody was sick, and they were just like, and they just go after the healthy ones. So I thought that was kind of a cool touch on, twist.
I agree, but there was a pretty good wave of that genre, not so much just zombies, but 30 Days a Night and stuff like that were really cool films in that time period. Really kind of popped. You could go with a ton of different things that really were different. Even the
for the slow zombies because I'm out of breath walking upstairs.
Yes.
you feel like you'd survive longer. I mean, the Walking
Slow
Dead went
thriller.
through that too.
Yeah. Well, with the slow zombies, man, it's just I go back to when I used to do a haunted house with a bunch of friends, and it was funny how like you could do the slow zombie thing outside or something like that, and people would just like take off running, and then you just keep going, and they would forget you were there, and you catch back up to them, stuff like that. Or I'd be a killer clown on stilts, and
nice.
they don't realize how fast you can run on those things, but I can run basically twice as fast on stilts as I can on ground. So they would kind of and the next thing you know, you'd be right there on them. So that was fun.
Well, it'd be a lot more painful to trip on those things, though, I'm sure. I see you guys walking through those conventions on those stilts, and I'm like, man, I hope they don't hit a banana peel because that's gonna be deadly.
Well, I had a couple of youngins thought it would be funny to kick my feet out from under me. Luckily, my wife was standing there and overheard them and kind of pointed it out to me. But I have been knocked down before on accident, but you just kind of learn to fall with it, and I had no permanent injuries, so we're good.
Well, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you survived to be here tonight to talk about your art. Well, you've known Jamie for a while now, right? You guys have been working together. I know he was telling me slightly about you, and he knows I like to learn a lot about you guys on these shows. So how'd you guys meet, and how'd you connect?
I started going to the Midtown store, 901 Comics, here and there, because I tried to shop around. It's like, because all the comic shops in town were like really good to me when I was trying to be a comic artist. So I always tried to spread the love around. But like Jamie was going to San Diego Comic-Con, and I heard that hey, if you want something, let me know. And he picked me up some Hot Wheels and stuff like that. So I just got to know him and Shannon through the Midtown store, and then I heard they were looking for somebody out east, and so I went in and talked to Shannon and to Harry, who was the store manager at the time, because he's the toy owner now, the toy store owner, or one of them. So I talked to them, got the job out east. My wife works 2 days a week in the office, about 5 minutes from the shop, so we get to ride in together, 2 days a week. So it's pretty cool. I like it. It's a laid back job, And
well, if you enjoy your job, then it's great. Like I enjoy what I do. It allows you to do, more of what you like to do. Like even though I do Doomsday's Crypt, what I do for a job is very different. But I love both. So if you're doing that, it don't really matter. It's always a fun journey. Getting to spend time with your wife and being on that journey, and not having to be away from home or out, gone for a week as a truck driver or other hard jobs where you're just too drained for it. You're at least doing something that takes skill and talent and family. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people think that all we do is sit around and read comics all day at the comic shop. And it's like, no, I'm usually entering comics into the system most days. But like today, some of the stuff didn't show up till like 2, and I'm usually out of there by like 4:30. So it was, scramble mode, try to get that stuff done before I left. And but yeah, it's cool. We use an app called the League of Comic Geeks, and it's kind of cool to see what's coming up, and you can tell what different covers they have and all that kind of stuff. But it's I've learned that it's a really cool device to have when people start asking questions about comics, because just because I've read comics since the 70s, for like basically like almost 50 years now. I don't know every comic. I don't know every creator. I don't know, and like the new stuff, I don't know what's coming out all the time. You can look through previews and some of these other things, but the having the app here lately, I'll have people ask me, so why is that comic there so expensive? And I go, oh, well, let's look it up. And we'll go, oh, it's the first appearance of this, or it's the death of this character, or it's the, something like that. So it's been helpful to help the customers when they come in. So that's always kind of fun, when I learn something, but can also, kind of educate them a bit.
Well, it's nice to have all that knowledge and be able to share it with somebody who's eager to learn it. In a comic book shop, you're bringing in people that, they might be veterans in the comic field and know everything that or more, and have answers to every question from every issue and every page. But you also get those newcomers in that you guys can share with and inspire that next generation of comic book fans. That
the fun question is always like, where do I start? And it's like,
yes. Oh man. It's either the where do I start, or I want to buy something for a friend of mine. Okay, what do they like? I don't know. Yeah. Help me help you. Come on. But yeah, we get those questions a lot.
What do you find superheroes is still the go-to for most people, or is there a new kind of genre coming out where people are into? Like, I know, like we talked about Image and The Walking Dead, and they've had other things in that field. The Boys, where it's anti-hero. Is there something people still reading those hero comics? They want the hero to win, or they still kind of interested in the evil superheroes, if that makes sense.
Well, it's funny because when you say like comic books, the first thing people think of is superhero comics. Your Superman, Batman, that kind of thing. But the great thing about comics is there's a comic out there for just about anyone. I love seeing kids come into the comic shop, because I didn't have a comic shop when I was a kid. It was either a spinner rack at a 7-Eleven or an old used bookstore that might have a box of comics in the back somewhere. And so it's cool to see the new kids come in, because guys like me, we're dying off left and right. So it's if the industry is going to continue, they really need to appeal to new readers, whether it's younger readers or people that have just never picked up a comic before and want to.
It really matters with all parts of life. If you're doing some sort of trade, even if it's not a comic book trade or an artist trade, or it's construction or bricklayer, you have to have the experienced ones and those eager young ones that they can inspire to teach, so it keeps going. And it's out there, and it's big props to guys like you who really get that and are having fun sharing your knowledge with these avid readers. You're providing a place where all these people can come together and discuss comics and learn about comics. And like you said, you're enjoying it. That's the main thing. You get to enjoy it. It's not like it's work in a sense. I mean, it might have stressful moments because that's just business.
Yeah.
But
there's been a couple.
Yeah. But overall, you get to do something you enjoy doing on a daily basis. Not like, oh man, I just don't want to go in today.
I don't have that. I've had those jobs before.
Yep.
And I've had the ones that'll, increase your blood pressure or cause heart attacks and that sort of thing. This isn't it. It's a comic shop, man. It's, come in, we'll show you what's cool. And, we got toys and we got games and whatever. So it's kind of fun. We do a lot of events, and one of the events that what two of the events I like doing is the Sat Art Days that we do, and the drink and draws, and that's where we have some of the local cartoonists from the Mid-South Cartoonist Association, which has been around pushing 40 years now. I got started in it back in 88, I guess. It started in 87. I got in it about 88. But it's a lot of local cartoonists, and everybody from like 9 and 10 years old show up to like people much older than I am. But we'll have like Sat Art Days. We just get together. We've got free art supplies if anybody needs them, and we just draw. It's technically not an art class, but we share techniques. And if anybody's got questions about stuff, especially like a lot of people are doing like digital, like the tablets, like that, like Procreate and other programs like that. And so if somebody's working on that, they can go, hey, which program are you using? What kind of brushes are you using? That kind of stuff. And you can share the knowledge. Or like I do a lot of marker stuff. Like I said, all the sketch cards are markers. And so if anybody wants to try markers, I'm there to kind of help, give them whatever I can. Because when I started airbrushing T-shirts, there was a couple guys locally, Greg Cravens, who's doing Stone Ninja these days, and A.G. Howard. Both of them were like so open with giving me information on doing airbrushing. And because I was at the fair and my mom goes, you should go talk to that guy. He's airbrushing. He could probably help you. And I go, no, he looks like Charles Manson. I don't, but Greg couldn't have been nicer. And AG was the same thing at the mall. And a lot of people tend to want to like hold their information close or consider everybody else as, their, what do you want to call it? Competition, and I don't. It's like, if you do something before I do it, well, good on you, or if I can help you learn something and you get better at it, great. Maybe I'll learn something in the process too. So it's a good thing about our group is that, everybody shares, and we get together once a month for dinner and at Garibaldi's and have pizza and draw. So it's kind of
I
fun.
got to introduce him to my dude, Michael Toth. He's the Sharpie king. He did all those skateboard decks behind me.
Oh, sweet.
It's really cool. Yeah, Mike does some pretty sick art. I'm sure he'd be. You guys would connect well. Let me put it that way.
We've got a skate park down here that just opened up their second phase. They had the big bowl at first, and then they got more of, I guess, like your stuff you could grind on and that sort of thing. And Greg, the guy I was telling you about, he said, man, we ought to go down there and skateboard at that place. And once it opened up, I was like, all right, cool. And luckily I had hockey pads, because my first trip into the ball, man, I wiped out. So yeah, I don't bounce like I used to.
Yeah, I tried to drop in on a half pipe one time and almost broke my ankle. And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'd break a hip just looking at the skateboard in the dip.
Yeah, doing the stilt walking thing used to make my wife really nervous. But these days she's got really good life insurance on me, so she's go skateboard. I don't care. Yeah, we got health insurance. We're good.
It might be sad, but I'll survive.
Yeah,
comfortably.
Yeah, but it's a nice skate park down here. I really like it. So.
That's cool. I don't know if they have any around me. We got a small town. There's really not a lot of skateboarding, but
yeah,
there's a skate park. It's in a warehouse over by our 901 Games, and they have like a coffee bar and everything in it too. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
All my kids are grown, so I don't know what the youth does anymore, the skate parks or anything. Man, that's when you know you're an old man. It's like, I don't know what these youngins do anymore.
Well, my wife is big into photography, so every now and then we'll go to the skate park and just take pics of people doing tricks and stuff. It's a lot safer.
Yeah. I mean, the tricks are pretty fantastic. If you get some good people out there, it's a lot of fun to just watch. I mean, you gasp. I mean, you kind of hurt when they fall. You're like, ooh, you know, they feel the pain, but you still give the ooh and the ow, you know, for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You got a skate park and you guys can get down there, do your photography. And it sounds like you do not just drawing of the art, you know, you'll take the pictures and stuff like that. Like, all aspects of art.
Yeah, I do, like I said, I do a little bit of everything. I do markers and airbrushing. I do a little bit of sculpting. I do some acrylic painting. And so, yeah, just people go, man, why do you do so many different things? And it's like, because it keeps you from getting burnt out on different things. It's like when I was doing sketch cards for tops for Star Wars, you know, there's 150 or more cards at each time you did them. So by the time I got done with those, I was like, man, I don't want to draw sketch cards, you know, for a while. So I'd go airbrush for a while, or I'd get tired of that. Like if I did a show, you're looking at 10 to 12, you know, paintings. So after you do that 12th painting, you're just like, man, I'm done painting for a while. Let's do something else. So it's been kind of fun just to, you know, work on different things here and there.
I'd say work on your weaknesses, but it doesn't seem like you have too many, man. That's some impressive work you do, honestly.
These are my weaknesses these days. It's the
being able to see.
Yeah, it's the seeing and the getting the arthritis in the hands now. That's, you know, I don't draw as fast as I used to. And
luckily, I'm not an artist because my knuckles from landscaping over the years.
Oh yeah,
got mountains on them now.
Yeah,
I mean, luckily I
my trigger finger.
Look at bins and boxes when I'm setting up for a table, or you know, just by locking my fingers. Because if I had to do anything with them, forget it.
Yeah, it gets, like I said, you start feeling your age sometimes, but as long as I don't push it too bad, you know, like, you know, sketch. When I start feeling that it's starting to hurt, you know, it's like, okay, time to take a break. Because I mean, used to, man, we would start at, especially on Christmas in the malls, you'd start at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you wouldn't finish till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And the only break you took was to go run to the bathroom, you know, and so you'd print or airbrush like about 100 items in a day, you know, and it was just, you know, I was young, stupid, and could, you know, had better endurance back then. So
the thought of doing it now kind of makes you tired, like actually getting on a skateboard. It's like, oh, you're at the age where
yeah. I was like, no.
When I think back to when I landscaped and did like 10, 12-hour days, I don't know how I did it. I don't think I could make it through a 2-hour day anymore, especially more than one day.
Yeah,
like 2 days in a row.
I'm glad we're getting actually nice weather here, so I don't have to do any more of the mowing much for a while.
We just mowed today. Yeah.
Man, it's this week it was like about 70 or so in the mornings. So nice breeze, you know, it's good. You put on some headphones, listen to a podcast, mow, you know, all that. That's great. But man, trying to do yard work here in like July, August, it doesn't matter what time you get up, it's still going to be hot and muggy.
Yeah, it's been real nice here this week too. I'm out in Missouri, and it's a real nice weekend. We were out in Topeka, Kansas last weekend, and the weather was great. No rain, not too hot. Sunday was a little warm, but yeah, we've been getting some nice mornings. It was like 60s this morning. I'll take all morning.
How did the Topeka
well, it was a lot of fun. It was a small venue. It wasn't a very large venue. It had Brett Wagner. Beatrice was my neighbor there. Amanda Kruger. We had Kim Myers from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and she did an episode of Seinfeld, which we got to talk about. She came on. She was also on Hellraiser Bloodline, and Mark Patton was able to be there. He had to leave a little bit early on Saturday, unfortunately. But it was a good time. There was a few independent actresses out there. Jennifer Nangle, got to meet her, really, really sweet and nice. Heather Harlow was there, and some other great filmmakers were there. So it was a lot of fun. Some really cool independent films to watch.
Yeah,
my guys had a good time. It was kind of nice taking the 3 individuals I take care of And we set up a cool table with a minivan full. I don't know how I got so much on the table and had the spread I did, but
Yeah,
I was
black
impressed
light
with the minivan. I was impressed with their luggage too.
Yeah, that blacklight photo that you posted was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love those things. Those two of those are black lights. The H.H. Holmes isn't a black light one, but yeah, those things are really sweet in the black light. Once this con run's done, I'm making this room black light again and hanging some stuff up. It definitely sets the tone.
Definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to the Memphis Monster Con because it's technically going to be my first Monster Con to go to. I've been to Haunt Con a couple of times, which is a haunted house convention that kind of moves around the country, but they have horror guests and they have all different types of vendors and stuff like that. But this will be my first official Monster Con, so this is yay.
This is going to be a good one. I always say it each week, but it's going to be a good one. Great guests. Guys like you are going to be there. We've had some great vendors and people who are going to be doing comics as well. So a real good mix of people. I've been having so much fun with the road to Memphis Monster Con with them. And another person now I'm incredibly excited to meet because your artwork is sick, man. I can't wait to see it in person.
Thanks. Yeah, I've got like I said, I'll have I've got like little you can see it. There you go, a little zine there, and the zine will come with like a there we go, a little free sticker with that. I'll have some prints. Let me see that. There's my bride, and there he is.
There he is.
Yeah, and
Vincent.
there you go, and Sherlock Holmes. So I do that. I do like
That's
cartoony,
great, man. That's great.
Little
cartoony
stuff. Yeah. So a little bit of everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, you go from the classic portrait sketch, like with the bride, and then you go to the, outrageous, really cool, comic-y, silly characters, and I think, and they're all fantastic, dude. I mean, you're incredible talent, dude. It's hard for an artist to be really skilled at one thing, let alone all the things you really, really thrive at. Very impressive, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you got a new fan here. I know you've been around and you've done some amazing work, and you've had such an amazing road in what you're doing in your career and in the comic book industry. And now I get to know you, man. I'm excited, dude. I love art. As you can see, I don't have a lot here, but big fan of artists, and now I'm a big fan of yours, dude. Very, very cool.
Well, cool. Yeah, I'm going to have. I'm looking to do at least one or two original paintings to have at the show. I'll probably have like a marker illustration or two, and like I said, prints, and I'll have. I do sketch covers, which I don't know if you're familiar with sketch covers. But I do stuff like
Oh yeah. I love sketch covers, man.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's really cool. Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah, they've come out with some Frankenstein sketch covers, some Dracula ones, and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and work up at least one of each of those for the show.
You planning on bringing like a sketchboard with you too, in case somebody wants something done right then and there?
I don't do commissions.
Okay.
I don't do them at basically usually the lighting at a show sucks. No offense, I haven't seen your lighting yet, Jamie, so I don't know what your setup's like. But usually lighting sucks at a con. If you're trying to draw, people bump your table. And if you got your head down while you're drawing, if you don't have somebody else working the table with you, they'll just walk on by because they don't want to come over and bother you.
They disturb you. They feel like they're disturbing you. I feel you. I feel you.
So when Dave and I
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when Dave and I were doing the comics, and we would do like San Diego Comic Con or Emerald City or even like Mid-South Con here, he has what I call resting bouncer face, So he's about 6'1", 6'2" or so, and was big boy, and he'd just stand there with his arms crossed and this like sour look on his face. And I'd look over at him while I was drawing. I was like, "Dave, you having fun?" And he'd look over me and go, "Oh yeah, great. All right, well, you're scaring the locals, man." I was like, "Why don't you draw for a while, and I'll do the Carnival Barker thing." And he was like, all
Well, it
right.
makes a lot
So
of sense to do it that
yeah.
way. Yeah,
And he was
it
just,
really does. And then you
yeah,
can talk to
he's
people
faster.
about your art. I mean,
Yeah.
you could actually explain what went into the piece, and with all the different artwork you have, what was the inspiration for it, what made you want to draw it, especially if it's an original character
Yeah.
you've done or things you've worked on. You have enough to talk about without being busy drawing a sketch cover or something like that.
Well,
So
like I said,
feel you.
I'm slow, and I've done it a couple of times to where like I'll tell them if you can pick it up tomorrow, I'll go ahead and do it, kind of thing.
Right.
Because you never know how much time you're going to have to sit and draw. But like I said, Dave would sketch while I would stand there and talk. Because if you're standing at your table and you're eye level with people, they're more likely to come over and talk to you. And
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
yeah, especially
Absolutely.
if they walk by and you go, "Hey, cool costume," or "Hey, great shirt," kind
Yeah.
of thing. They'll go, "Oh, hey, thanks. What are you doing?" And they'll come over and talk to you. So
I
that's
mean, you could have cool stuff at your table, but
yeah,
it is good to have somebody to present it and talk about it and greet and initiate contact with other people, just get them talking. And most people want that too, as they're
yeah,
there at the con. They want to find something cool. They want to look at something cool. Hope, maybe they'll buy something, maybe they won't, but it's always cool to
yeah,
sit there and talk to somebody at a convention
yeah,
about the work that's on the table. I know you do your own work. I'm lucky enough to have, tons of these amazing guys that I have a lot of fun talking to the crowd that comes in. You don't want to leave the table half the time because there's so much fun to talk to, and they're so curious about the stuff. And these guys that do work, or I'm sure when you're doing your work, just to, the enjoyment they get out of it and you
yeah.
talking about it, and you enjoy it probably more than them.
Well, it's great too if you got a good table neighbor. So when things are slow, because some cons will set up somebody that's like kind of well known next to somebody that is kind of either entering into the business or is still only in there for a few years, so that way you can have those conversations with a pro and like an amateur or whatever, and so that kind of helps. And I for like with kids, like I said, my rule for not sketching at cons is kids. If a kid comes up to me with a sketchbook or something, I will do a quick sketch in there for them for free. Yeah. I
Very
started
cool.
doing that out in Phoenix and at the Superman celebration, and so that's always good. If I see a kid with a sketchbook, yeah, man, I'll draw something in there for you.
And that's something that'll last with that kid forever. So
Yeah,
it's awesome you're doing that, man. That's awfully cool.
yeah, because I was like in my 20s before I realized that people actually did that at cons. There was like a couple of cons I went to, and I'd see folks later, friends that would have sketches. I'm like, where the heck did you get that? And they're at the con. How much? They tell me. I was like, really? Seriously? I was like, people do that? I was like, okay. So yeah, I dig them. I love getting them. I
So
just
have
don't like
you've
doing
been
them.
doing, I mean, this is going to be your first horror convention, but you've been, I'm guessing, done quite a few conventions. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know what you're going into anyway. You know
yeah,
what the crowds are going to be like. I think you're going to find a similar crowd of awesome people, but also different when it's straight horror fans. It's a different vibe. Because I've been to both. I've gone to Planet Comic Cons and I've done horror cons, and they're similar, but they're very, very different. I think you're going to enjoy the horror con. It's a very close knit group of people. I know, Jamie, you being a big fan of all genres, there's definitely that distinct difference between a horror and Comic Con. When you blend it together, and a lot of places it goes a long way too. But I do like the separation in a sense of it, because there is a different type of fan that goes to each one for
right,
the most part.
yeah. And you have your fan events that are going to be more celeb, driven, and then you're going to have others that are just strictly comics, and then you have some that are strictly anime. And so, like I said, I'm looking forward to this monster one because again, I love horror movies. I love the monster. I'm a monster kid. Some of my earliest drawings were like mom kept them. I was like 4 years old drawing Frankenstein. So it's been in my blood for years, and we've got
Well,
a
that
great.
Bride of Frankenstein is sick. I mean, I love
Oh,
the
thanks.
Universal monsters.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's grew up in the 80s or even the
Mhm.
70s, that was probably some of their first introductions to anything, if not everything. And
Oh yeah.
probably a lot of people's first Halloween costumes too.
Oh yeah. Well, and watching like the Channel 3 late movie here, or the late movie, or the creature feature. But here in Memphis, we had a horror host named Savad, and he scared the willies out of me as a kid. But now I love it, but you can't find a lot of it because it was all of his intros and stuff were recorded on videotape. And back then, videotape was so expensive. They would, show the show, and then they would tape something over it
They
next.
did that to Johnny Carson. That's why you
Yeah.
can't watch his early episodes. They didn't realize what reruns would be or the value in it. It's unfortunate. So much history lost, just lost.
Yeah, but we've got, like I said, we've got so many horror fans here. There's a Bill Street Monster Club that's in town. Jerry Lawler is a huge monster kid too.
Very
he actually
cool
knew,
dude.
Yeah,
Very
he
cool
actually
guy.
knew Savad back in the day. And so we've got Eric Crimmins is another friend of mine. He's got several pieces of mine that I've traded him for different statues, or different horror type stuff, or things for my wife. It's always, if I can trade him like a sketch cover for like a Wonder Woman statue, that's good hubby points that I get.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome that you guys are into the same things.
Yeah.
The fact that you guys enjoy the same exact stuff, and that's tough to find in a relationship. So it must make it a lot easier. Instead of having to worry, do I get her flowers? What do I get? I'll just get her some Wonder Woman.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's funny because she told him, no more pops. I don't need any more pops. And I go, okay, sure, no more pops. And then like today, she came home with 2 more that she found at one of the stores. I'm like, thought you said no more pops. She goes, well, these are from the Star Wars game, blah blah blah. Okay, sure, whatever.
Made sense. So a legitimate reason.
Yeah, but I
love stop by.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's I gotta stop. Just one more. Just
I would have bought doubles of them if I wasn't stopping.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, she's got her own. Like I've got, I don't know if you can kind of tell. There's a lot of bat stuff back here.
Yeah,
but I've got the back cave
up on solo so people can see a little bit better. Real quick,
a little bit back there. Yeah, I'm kind of in the way, but anyway.
No, you'll be fine once the solo comes up. It'll look good for you.
There you go. There it is. But my wife, she's got her room down the hallway, and it's called the Fangirl Room. And she's got everything from Star Wars to Wonder Woman to Doctor Who and video games. She's a big video gamer, so she likes doing that. But like I said, I collect all kinds of stuff. Like I said, this room's mostly Batman, just because it's kind of a smaller room, and I didn't have room for everything in here. But I've got like some Rocketeer stuff out in the hallway. I've got some Beetlejuice stuff in actually in our bedroom on my dresser, because I basically we got engaged in Phoenix at the Phoenix Comic-Con, and I proposed as Beetlejuice to her, and I was doing a charity auction in there, and she came in late from the guest dinner. And I was like, "Hey, babe, come on up here! I need help with something." So she's like, "Oh, great! I'm going to be part of his stick." So she came up there, and I knelt down and produced the finger with the ring on it, and I was like, "I swear she meant nothing to me." And I tossed the finger and all that, and then I took the actual ring and proposed to her.
You definitely got the voice down.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Oh, 6 packs.
I'm sure you've already seen the new one. I'm not going to ask for spoilers because I was planning on going this next weekend if it's still in the theaters. It seems like things don't last longer than 2 weeks in the theaters. I think Beetlejuice will, but I think
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was fun. It's a popcorn movie. I've seen people go, "Oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece." No, it's not a masterpiece. It's fun. If you enjoyed the first movie, I think you'll like the second movie.
It's Michael Keaton. You can't go wrong with Michael Keaton. You got
that. He and Catherine O'Hara steal the show. It's like they're great. But it's like I said, it's fun. I think some scenes went on a little too long. I think some things weren't explained well enough, but there was a couple of little surprise twists here and there. And if you keep your eyes open, you might pick up some clues that'll, show you some stuff before it happens. But overall, it was fun. Like I said, you can't go wrong with, like I said, Michael Keaton.
I mean, you can't expect a movie, 5 years ago? Because I was a kid when I saw it. So it must have been about 5 years ago. Oh, how old is that movie now? Almost 30 years? 30-ish?
Probably pushing 40. Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, because when I first did Beetlejuice, it was at a JC Haunted House, because we were selling. Hey, there's Sydney again.
We were,
yeah.
Give him the co-host spot.
Yep. We were doing. We were selling T-shirts. I used to have a T-shirt shop, and we were selling T-shirts out there. And I first went out there wearing like the black and white shirt, like he does with Adam, Maitland, and the khaki pants, stuff like that. Because I didn't have the black and white striped suit. And I was like, oh, this will be an easy costume. I'd seen the movie like once, and you go out there, and all the kids that are at the haunt come up to you and just start, basically trying to, get your Beetlejuice street cred, and they're like asking all these questions, and I'm like, man, I don't know, man, go away. That's why I won't do 2 shows a night. I won't do it. But anyway, it was like, I was like, oh my God, I got to go home and do my homework on this thing. So when every night after the haunt, I'd go home and watch the movie again until I could, get some of the lines and stuff like that done. And then my sister helped me make the actual Beetlejuice outfit, which it's really the most comfortable costume I've got. It's so lightweight, and I've got a horn that goes down in one of the pockets, so I can like reach down and like honk, honk, whenever I need to. So it's fun. I dig it.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, it sounds like a fun costume. At least you get it, and you try to keep things fun at all times. I respect it, man. I respect that. I'm
gonna try and do that one, I think Sunday, and then I'll do the Wolfman on Saturday at the con. So,
nice.
So I won't look like this, thankfully, at the con. So,
where's Lynn? I don't know.
There's this wolf guy over there at his table. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I had the glitch for the show.
Do what?
I had the glitch for the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, me and Jamie, it's an ongoing thing. If we didn't have technical problems, we wouldn't have a show. It's just, it has to happen. Something. But that was pretty smooth though.
That was good.
It's
I wouldn't have known if you hadn't said anything.
Issue, so the big one's got to be coming before the show ends. That's for sure.
Well, it's like I do a podcast every now and then called Drawing Funny, and I had John Ostrander, or Ostrander, however you want to pronounce it. He says he goes both ways, but I had him on the show, and halfway through it, my internet connection just dropped, and I lost him. And I'm like, oh my God, because he's the guy that if like the modern Suicide Squad, he's the guy that created that, and like Amanda Waller and Darth Talon, stuff like that. So I'm like, and he's a super nice guy, but I'm like, I can't believe it. I get a big name on my show and my computer craps out on me.
Right.
But luckily my wife was in the other room and she still had him on. So I was able to boot back up and log back in. Yeah, she saved it. She saved it, man.
Good for her. Good for her. Yeah, it stinks when you get those problems, man. And you can't count on it not happening. Like we can count on it happening on the road to Memphis MonsterCon. Me and Jamie already know something's going to happen. It's like we said, we're on a streak.
Yeah,
I mean, we're on a streak. We're batting 1,000 right now. But like I said, we're getting better at them. They're getting more and more minor, I think. Although that microphone thing 2 weeks in a row was
I thought it was going to be smart and use my iPhone to record, live at different events and stuff like that. And I got a splitter for lapel mics, and I didn't realize that one of them had a short in it. So like my mic was really hot, and everybody I was interviewing, their mic was like dead, so you could barely hear them. And so I had to go back through the whole thing in Audacity and try to bring their levels up every time they spoke, bring mine down. And
well, at least you knew how to do that, which is a big thing right there. Because if you don't know how to do it, like this guy didn't, I had a few of those back in the day.
Yeah.
And the sound just wasn't there, and I didn't know how to adjust it. So knowing how to do that, at least you were able to save some lost episodes.
It took a weekend to get it, but I saved it. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, you never know. My friend Kevin and I were coming back from this road trip, and I was like, "Hey, let's record," And I set I've got a Zoom recorder, and I had it, and I was just like, we're kind of back and forth. He'd talk, I'd point it to him, I'd talk, point it to me. We didn't realize that we had the air conditioner on, so the whole recording, it sounds like we got the windows down. And I was like, oh man, because the air was blowing directly on it, and I didn't have the.
Were they screaming from an airport?
Yeah, it's what it sounded like, man. It was horrible. I hated it. Cause it was like an hour of just useless.
I can only imagine your old house. You should just start probably charge tickets for people to come in and check it out like a museum. I bet you have some pretty rare figures and some pretty cool collectibles somewhere in there.
I got a few things here and there that's kind of fun. Jamie's the one that's got all like the classic, monster posters and stuff.
Yeah, look at all that framework behind him. He's all proud, big old smirk. Look at these big ass.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites right there. Night Monster, Bela Lugosi.
I love looking at your background. It's a badass space you got. Jesus, man. The envious man. That room is the ultimate man cave, dude.
It is.
Damn, that is a sweet space you got there.
I want to show that in my background for the podcast and stuff, but I move over there and I really have no service.
I thought you streamed in a closet, dude. I thought your wife had you in the small room. I mean, like, you are over there when you go live. Yeah. She puts Jamie in the corner.
I love it, man.
But it's been awesome meeting you, Lynn, man.
Well, thank you.
I got to load up for Minnesota this weekend. Tomorrow night, we got live DK and the Bees Horror Buzz, which is always fun with Amanda Kruger, Beatrice Buckley, the tall man.
Yeah.
Phantasm. Love it. I can't wait for Scarefest. They got a lot of the Phantasm people there. So meeting them in person is going to be super cool. But next weekend or this weekend, we got Minneapolis. Jamie, you got anything coming up this weekend?
No, I got my yard work done. So
he just gets to sit in his man cave and relax.
Are you doing Cooper Young?
I'm just teasing.
Still working.
Yeah. I'd never get work done. in a room like that. It's a cool ass room, man. But Lynn, you got anything coming up before Memphis?
Yeah, there's a pop-up shop called Monster Market, Memphis Monster Market. It's done at the Medicine Factory, which is an old, kind of like an old warehouse, and where I guess it used to be like a pharmacy type of thing, but it's a gallery space, event space. So that's coming up in middle of October, and then towards the end of October, the last Saturday, I've got a Zine Fest at the Crosstown Concourse in Memphis. It's a record and Zine Fest. They have like the record swap going on downstairs, and then the Zine Fest with all the artists are upstairs. And then we've got, I guess we have our Halloween Comic Fest and Halloween at 901 Comics East. I'll be out there for that. I work Thursdays, so I'll be out there for Halloween. And so if anybody local comes out there in costume and stuff like that, we'll have some candy and some comics to give away. And then obviously I got MonsterCon in November. So week after my birthday.
This Saturday's Cooper Young Festival.
Yes.
So it's in Midtown. I'll be there working at our Midtown location, and it's this Saturday, weather permitting, and 100,000 people probably. Yeah. And I've actually got a street team put together that's going to go out and pass out flyers. And I already told them I'm going to fill them with Pronto Pups.
Yeah.
They're all good.
I got a feeling your pre-sales, Jamie, are going to be sold out before Memphis. I think the tickets are going to be nearly gone by the time the doors are open.
Yeah, so. You've already sold out of Artist Alley spaces, right?
Yeah, Artist Alley booths are done, and we are well over halfway on vendor booth. So if if there's any vendors out there that still want to get in, get in quick, because it's not going to be long for all those are gone as well.
I got a feeling it's going to be a great show for you guys that are vendors. Just the right amount of guests, a great first con lineup, and some of the vendors you've met on this show already. It's one you don't want to miss. I think it's going to be a great time. Thanks again,
and it's
guys.
not a lot of like repetition too. It's a lot of like just different vendors and different artists. Not everybody selling the same thing. It's just so many different people.
And really good, fascinating, talented people. We've had some incredible ones, and Lynn, no different. Next level, really a guest in a sense going there with your resume and talent you have. But tomorrow night, guys, DK and the Bees Horror Buzz. We got some surprises going on. We're going to be talking about Minneapolis Crypticon. And tune in. It's going to be an earlier show. It's not going to be the usual 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you, Jamie. Can't wait for Memphis. It's coming quick. Lynn, can't wait to meet you in person, my friend. And thanks for popping up with us.
We'll see you at the Scare Grounds. Later, man.